Here we will discuss how we can graph the data we have extracted from the US Census Bureau website. For this video, we will go through 3 different categories: age and sex of the population, race and ethnicity data, and poverty level or income compared to poverty level data. As indicated here, we will be using specific tables for each of these categories. For age and sex, we will be using this particular table. Race and ethnicity, we will be using B03002 table. For income and poverty, we will be using the B17002 table. Let's go to the website just to have an overview of how this data was obtained. So if we were to obtain age and sex data, we will follow these steps here to obtain this particular table. Once you go to the US Census Bureau website, we will use advanced search and we will choose the years that we are interested, which will be 2018, the most recent data available. Geography, we will select the county level data, select any state that we are interested in, and whatever counties we would like to study. And when you're doing this kind of search, it's always good to take as many counties as you might want rather than having to do these searches over and over again. Once the counties are selected, we go to topic, we go to population and people, and we select age and sex category, and we can do a search. And here we will look at the tables tab. Once we get to the tables tab, we see that's the first table that has been pulled up. To download it, we will click on download, select this table, download selected the table, and we can download this data set. For our purposes, we will use 5-year data set when it's available. And we can download them as a CSV file, which can be opened as an Excel file. Alright, so once we have obtained this data, for this particular project, students will not need to go and extract the data. I have already done that, and I will provide data sets that you will need to analyze. So in this case, we have the 3 data sets shown here, one for age and sex, the other for race and ethnicity, and the other for poverty. And our goal is to try to see if we can plot these 3 graphs that are shown right here. So let's begin with our age and sex category. I have already organized the data that were provided to you into these 3 categories. All data selected into the age groups that we will be looking at, male data and female data. So to plot a graph like this, what we will do is we will first go to the first data set we would like. Let's, for example, do Fresno County. So we will select all the data for Fresno County, which will start right here. And then the categories that are needed. Go to Insert, plot the table, which will be a bar graph. And once we get this graph, I always like to open it up as a new sheet. And we will call it FNCA for Fresno County. Once that is open, we will go ahead and modify this graph to try to look more like this data sheet that is here. So first thing I like to do is select the whole graph, then use Arial font size about 28, make everything bold, change the font to black, and we can get rid of this grid. Now we need axes, so we'll right click, go to Format Axis, and we'll go to the line, which will have a black line, and I usually like about 3-point thickness. We need a black line. Same thing here. We'll use about 3-point thickness and a black line. I also like to put some tick marks, which we can do for both axes, and we want them on the outside. Once we have that, we will then go ahead and label the axes, label the chart, take care of a few items like that. Axis titles both for horizontal and vertical axis. So our vertical axis will be percent population, because we are plotting a graph that is percentage of the population of that county. This is going to be age group or age in years. So let's say age in years. Now, we don't really want this decimal point, so let's go and take care of that. We will go right here, we'll go to numbers and say we don't need any decimal point. And it still looks very crowded, so we will reduce the amount of numbers that are listed here. So we'll change our major units to a 10. And that looks a little bit more cleaner. Now, all our data here is for all sex, like males and females. And we would like to list males and female data alongside this as well. To do that, we will first go to the chart. We will get rid of the outer border so that this doesn't have a border around it anymore. Now let's go to design and add our legend. We will get it to overlap and get it to the right top, so around there. And we can also go to the chart option for the title and make it center overlaid, so it uses the entire graph. And here we will call this the particular county name, which in our case was, let me see what it was, FNCA. And we'll call it FNCA population distribution. Okay. So let's go ahead and get these axes, get the legend labeled and add the rest of the columns as well. So we go to the series one, we go to edit, and we go to our data set, and we will use this title that says all. And everything else looks fine. Then we will go to add to our next data series where we will use males. So the series name will be males. Series values would be the values in the male tab corresponding to Fresno County. And then for the x-axis, we will go ahead and get these values as well. Then we will add the female data, where we will go to this graph here, title female, series values. We will use the values for Fresno County. And then we will change the horizontal axis to the age categories we're using. So once we have all that data set, everything looks good. Now everything disappeared because I did a cancel. So let's go ahead and put them in again. We will go first to series. We will go to all age group, title all, and then we will go to add. We'll first put the male data set for Fresno County. age category will be the four groups that we will be studying. Then we will also add the female data. In the age categories. This may look like a time-consuming process, but once you have done this, we can use this as a template for all the graphs, all the other graphs that we would like to plot. So far things look good, but as you can see, this particular graph has a better contrast. So let's add some border lines and change some colors so that this graph will look more like the other one. So we'll go to this data set, format data series, and the only things we'll be doing is we'll go in here, we will change the border to a black border with a 3-point thickness. Same thing here as well, a black border with 3-point thickness. Same thing, the third category with a 3-point thickness. Now for the colors for female, we would make it a red color, and you can choose any contrasting colors for these graphs. For males, we will make it a blue color, and for all, we'll make it a gray color. Alright, so basically we have reproduced a graph that looks like the template that I have provided for students. So students don't have to go through this process of plotting this graph. What I would like for you to do is use this graph that has already been given and extract data from the data set that is provided here and plot the rest of the graphs. So to do that, what you will need to do is select the template graph that you'll use, right click, move or copy, create a new copy, bring it to the end, and now we have a copy of the template. Then you'll go to the county that you're interested in. Say for example, we wanted to do Contra Costa. So once you go there, you see that is going to be CCCA. So you can rename your tab CCCA. Population distribution title also you can change that. And then you will go right click to select data, and you will select the data for each of these three categories. So you'll go to edit, you will go to the data set that you want. Then you go to male data set, go to the group, we want the Costa Cosa, and for each of them you will change it. Same thing for female category. Select the line of data that you are interested in, and everything else should look good because the horizontal axis is still the same. Once that is done, we have now our graph. So it shouldn't take much long to use the template and produce as many graphs as you like for the counties that you're working with. So similarly, we will do it for the other two graphs that we have as well, so that you will know how you can use the dataset provided to produce these types of graphs. So we now have the race and ethnicity graphs for this particular county. We are going to use this as a template to produce another county. Once you go there, we'll still use the Costa Cosa, CCCA, and change this as well. Once you have done that, you go into select dataset. There's only one dataset here since we don't have male-female data. We go into edit, and here we already see the data provided is for the first graph. We are now going to the third county. Select that dataset and say OK. And now you have the dataset for that. So just using one template, we'll be able to create another graph for the other data set as well. However, if you see, this one seems reasonable, whereas this one is very, it's all close together. So we can change that by going to Format Axis. And right now it says Auto, but you can make it about 10 units apart, which now gives it a better contrast here. So use the template and create as many race and ethnicity graphs as you would like for the counties you're working with. Finally, we will look at this poverty level graph. So here is going to be a ratio of income to the poverty level. There are certain poverty level defines depending upon the family size, and a cutoff saying below this it will be considered living under poverty. So here they are looking at individuals in this particular county who are below the poverty line, just above the poverty line, up to an income of twice the poverty line, an income twice to 3 times the poverty line, an income 3 times to 5 times the poverty line, or an income that is more than 5 times the poverty line. So the poorer populations on this side, the richer population, portion of the population will be represented by this side. So let's see if we can reproduce this graph to a different county. Again, we will right click, go to move copy, move to the end and create a copy. And we'll still go with the same county that we were using before as an example. Right click, select data, edit the data, go to the data set and select the county that we are working with. And once you do that, you will be able to get the poverty level, ratio of income to poverty for the county that you're looking at. And as you can see, just looking at these two counties, we see a certain contrast. This county, there is more of a population living closer to the poverty line, whereas this one, about 50% of the population is living above the poverty line. So these are some differences we would like to identify in the counties that we are studying, looking at COVID-19 data sets.